FFTV podcast.
Hello, welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. This is the player ratings. Republic of Ireland have drawn 1-0 with Qatar in Hungary in a friendly, and we're going to go through the player ratings. Get your comments in, and you can let us know as we go through the players whether you agree, disagree, and why. Don't just start shouting, going, "We're shiting Kenny out," because that's largely what I assume the comments will be in this video. It's not necessarily what we are saying, but anyway, Bazunu in goal. I'm going to give Gavin a 6. I don't think he could have done anything about the goal. I think there were spells where he looked a little bit shaky, but you'd expect that for someone of his age coming in and playing, his second international game. And obviously it's a game where there's huge pressure on us to try and get a result. And if anything goes wrong, like Mark Travers, it could go really, really wrong for him. So I thought he handled himself well. And as I said, he couldn't really have done anything about the goal. And had no real standout moments for me in terms of making any sort of really big mistakes, or I know he gave the ball away once, kind of. And other than that, I don't really remember him doing a whole lot wrong that could have maybe led to a goal or anything like that. There was the one moment where your man went shoulder to shoulder with Duffy and it went out for a corner. But it's 6 for me for Gavin Bazuna. What about you, David?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Paulo. I'd go with a 6 as well. If it had gone as the last performance as well, I'd bring it all in together because he didn't have much to do. But his distribution, looking for the ball all times, I'm sure he was loud and clear as last week. As Saturday. So you more or less hit the nail on the head. I'd go with a 6 as well. With not much to do, didn't do anything wrong, didn't do anything right, but I'm going to give it overall, yeah.
I wouldn't say he didn't do anything right, but he done more right than wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably give him a 6.5 just because, like, Davis's distribution was quite good. Although a couple of times maybe he was a bit kind of shaky, like there was the kind of half punch shoulder thing that he kind of did. But that'll kind of happen, especially whenever kind of teams are on the counter and stuff. But overall, it's very positive again, and he's definitely maybe staked a claim for being included regularly now in the squads, whether it's just the number 2, number 3, or even number 1, really.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's just a couple of people have got some comments in there. Patrick Walsh says, Han Ireland. Evan Ryan's given Bazunu an 8. Alpha says Bazunu was alright, not easy stepping up. And then Lenny says, I'm glad Bazunu got through. His second out and second night syndrome can be a thing. Also very glad that Duffy made it through. Yeah. So we'll move on then to defence, and I'm going to start with Seamus Coleman. I'm going to give him a 6. I don't think he was as solid as he has been the last 2 other games. He didn't do a whole lot wrong, but at times he's a little bit sloppy in possession. Again, he's playing in a position that he's not it's not his natural position, but he's done quite well, I think, in there. Just maybe not his best game, but at the same time, he didn't do anything wrong for me, so I think a 6 is a fair rating out of 10. You just can let me know if he's a lower or higher, but I'm going to give him a 6. David?
I would have went with a 5. Yeah, he wasn't as direct as he was previous games, but I'm going to put that down to tiredness. With so many games in consecutive days, it obviously took his toll on him. You could see it tonight. He wasn't as direct, or he wasn't as getting forward or as energetic as he usually would be. But other than that, no, I'm going to have to go with a 5 out of 10. Yeah, I'd say it's completely just down to tiredness, because you can't question his effort or his work ethic either. Like, I just put it down to tiredness. That's why he's going to get a 5 out of 10.
Ethan?
I might go middle, kind of 5.5. I think he didn't do anything wrong per se, but I think over maybe the last couple of games as the captain, I think maybe there should be a bit of an expectation there to kind of rally the players and kind of try and drive them on. These are 2 fairly disappointing results, all things considered, and I think part of that, I don't think it's not his fault we conceded goals and that kind of thing, but I think there has to be some sort of responsibility there, I think, to encourage players to drive on and really kind of gee them up whenever they're just maybe letting the game pass them by. But as a sole performance, it was kind of grand. Nothing really too bad or too good. But yeah, 5.5 for me.
Just I'm going to read out a couple of comments there as well. Just people getting the comments in. You're now entering free. Eddie says Coleman got a 6. Then Gavin says Coleman was actually good. 90 minutes times 3 and went on a few great runs even from right centre back. He did go on some runs, but I suppose it just wasn't enough over the grand scheme of things. As David says, he did look a little bit tired. That's to be expected. I can't remember the last time he's played 3 games in a row with Everton as well. Tommy Finnan says thought everyone played decent. And then Lenny says the supposed penalty from the angle I saw from wasn't even a foul. The attacker made the contact and dropped like a stone. True. I don't see why Bazunu was booked for that. I thought it was crazy. But for me anyway, Bazunu is 6 and Coleman is 6, and you've given just under that on Coleman. Yeah,
I'd give a 5. Yeah.
And I gave 5.5. So
okay, so just moving on to Shane Duffy. I think this was a game for Duffy to retake his claim. I didn't think, again, he wasn't in the heart of anything or anything like that. He was just kind of just really there. I don't think he had a bad game, or I don't particularly think he had a good game as well. He had a fairly average game. He looked solid enough when he needed to come and do stuff. He'd done it more often than not. Again, I'm going to go with a 6 again. I don't think he's done anything really wrong defensively. People might say for the goal, though, that he might have been the one that he kind of turns away when your man spins off him a little bit. But I think if you're criticising him there, I think you're being quite harsh and you're looking for mistakes more than anything. So I'm going to give him a 6 from my own opinion. What's yours, David?
Yeah, I'd go with a 6 as well. Purely down to, you know what, I'm happy nothing went wrong for him tonight. Purely just with his performance at Celtic and the way he's been the scapegoat for Celtic fans and for their poor performance and the tough times he's gone through with the passing of his father. That's everything that goes on behind closed doors, and his performance was also affected by it. But I'm just happy nothing went wrong from that tonight. Other than that, he done his job. He done his basic job, and that's what you probably needed now for a boost. So I'm gonna go with a 6. Clearly that on that, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll actually give him a 6.5. I think much like maybe Coleman and kind of Bazunu, there wasn't a lot maybe done wrong or necessarily right, but there was the one thing that sticks in my mind from the game is Qatar had maybe the 2-on-1 kind of counter, and the ball had been played through to their striker, and he made the fantastic tackle just inside the box. And I think that's almost a goal saving chance. So I think for that, he deserves a kind of bump up beyond just an average 6. I think it was good for him to play, good for him to like you kind of said, Dave, nothing go wrong for him. I think maybe he could have played one of the earlier games in the window. But look, that's kind of done now. But I'd hopefully, whether he rescores form at Celtic or not, see him back in the fray come the summer, because like Paul has said before, and like we've seen, he kind of never lets Ireland down, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But is that kind of where we're at now with Irish football? That if someone, you're just happy that they don't make a mistake, that we're kind of... Is that where we are at?
No, I'd solely just pick Duffy out for that.
Okay.
I think
anyone else, no. I'm just because of the hard times that he's had. That's the reason why I said I'm delighted he didn't do anything wrong. Other than that, I wouldn't say it about any other player.
Okay, go on.
Just for the hard times that he's gone through. That's...
Yeah, there's a couple of people in the comments as well. It says feel for Duffy, he's had a tough time. Alpha says that, like you said, and then Evan Ryan says Duffy did a good enough job, which he did. He wasn't amazing, but he was definitely not awful. He was quite good, in fairness. And Ken Carmody says can't be drinking Guinness on a Tuesday night. Boot him out, Paul. About Ethan. So,
why not? It's for free country, just about.
And then Lenny says, no, Duffy is a special circumstance at the moment. Okay, that's fair. I was only asking, guys, so no issues there. Dara O'Shea, for me, I thought he was the best of the centre-backs. I thought he won absolutely everything. I think he got Ortiz man of the match as well. I'm going to give O'Shea a 7. I thought it was probably his best performance for Ireland. And as well as that, coming out from our half, and he was drawing a lot of players in. and helping us beat the press and stuff like that. I think he's going to be a huge player for us going forward. I know, look, we played Qatar tonight, and people will be saying, "Oh well, it's only Qatar, and you're raving about him." No, I just thought he had a really solid game, and it can only help his confidence going forward. So for me, Dara O'Shea gets a 7. David,
I'm going to go with an 8, lads. I'm going to put it down to him being consistent in the last 3 games. Doing very well. His passing, his defending, not questionable again. He's just, as you said, he's one for the future. And for someone not to put a foot wrong in 3 games, and still keep driving on. Some of his tackles tonight were unbelievable, and putting his head in places where other people wouldn't put their head in. I know he got a bad knock, but he still put his head in for it. So yeah, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. And obviously man the match by RTE.
Yeah, not your man the match though.
My man the match. I am. I'll tell you further on when we pick the next person anyway.
Okay, no worries. Ethan.
I'll probably give him a 7.5. I think, like you mentioned, Paul, I was really impressed with his willingness to drive on up the pitch a bit more, and you look to give a pass, or even he won a few of the Qatar goal kicks at the halfway line because he was looking to come up and make something happen and try and kind of drive us on again from the defense, which I think we needed. Again, very, very impressed with him, and he's only going to get better. That's the real thing to take away, is that we can say he's been good and stuff so far, but that he's only going to improve. He's still a young lad, still gaining all sorts of experience. He's definitely one for the future, but he's proved the last 3 games he's also good enough right now.
Yeah, I think a couple of people in the comments would agree. Alpha gave him an 8.5 in the comments. Evan Ryan gave him an 8, and then O'Shea's biggest challenge forward is to stay at West Brom for another season or 2. Just on that, then moving on to wing backs, and I suppose we'll start with Cyrus Christie. I'm going to give Cyrus Christie a 6.5. I think there was moments where he showed really good quality, and that kind of bumps him up from the 6 originally. He would have probably got a 7, and then there was balls that he let him down. But I thought he was constantly an outlet for us on the right hand side, and I thought he did, bring some good opportunities down that right hand side for us. But I think ultimately, if you look at it overall, I mean the cross to Josh Cullen was brilliant on his left foot, and then he goes and does that at the end when we should be lumping the ball comes to him, he can't sort out his first touch, we lose the ball and the ref blows it up. It was constant. It was 1 minute he was brilliant, and then 1 minute he could be, his passing could let him down. So I think he's in between there for me. So 6.5 for Cyrus Christie in my opinion. Dave, what's yours?
I'm going to go with a 7.5, and just to go back on, I don't think when you're saying there at the end the free kick, I don't think Christie was actually looking at Coleman when he played the ball, so I think that's why he more or less got a tangled look. So I think he was expecting Coleman to pump along. But other than that, no, he was an outlet. He got forward. I actually think we actually made a statement tonight to say, listen, what's wrong with me? I can play here. I can, not a bother. You
know what I will say? Just, I don't like me to cut you off, but I think he showed more than Matt Doherty.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and we'll put it down to what Gary said the other day about he was a different player in a Wolves jersey. Like what we're seeing from Christie tonight is what we should be seeing from Doherty. But yeah, I'll give him a 7.5 out of 10, and that's why I picked O'Shea as my man of the match. But O'Shea just nipped it just ahead of Christie, probably by a nose finish. That'd be it. Just to actually, no, you'd nip it down because he's played more games, 3 consecutive games, and still was consistent. Maybe if Christie had played 3 games, we probably would have had a different story.
I get you. He's maintained his level in those games. Yeah, I get you. Okay, Ethan?
I think it's a 7 for me. I think Cyrus is a bit of a funny one because he's, if you look at his career, we'll say he's kind of every time he's on a team that gets promoted, he doesn't make the grade to start playing the Premier League for them. And I think we kind of saw a bit of that tonight where he has flashes and you're like, oh, hold on here, who's this? Is great. And then he'll just have the dodgy pass, the little moment where he just, loses the concentration for a second. which is a bit frustrating. But you make a great point, and as you compare him with Doherty, obviously Qatar, whatever notwithstanding, there was far more willingness. I think Doherty has been very passive for Ireland, and people say he doesn't get the ball enough, but he doesn't come looking for it. Whereas Christie's there, giving the ball, making the runs, bringing the energy, which is a big thing. I think if we're not going to maybe have the quality we need to kind of pick apart teams, we need the energy, we need the quick play. And I was very impressed with Christie tonight.
Yeah, I think people in the comments, if anyone's spamming the comments, Sean Beresford is just writing Kenny out. I'm just going to put you in timeout there. Sorry. He's just wrote about 20 times just spamming the comments. I'm just not going to put up with spam. So you're fairly entitled to your opinion. You're going to give a player a rating. We'll pop it up. But Alfie says that Cyrus personally deserves a bit more for probably from my rating. Christopher Scully says 7 for Cyrus. Gavin, I agree, 6.5, some really good and some really poor stuff. Rating doesn't really tell the whole story. Massive improvement on Doherty. Yeah, so I think a lot of people are kind of agreeing us on that. Yogi says a 7. No player should be getting over 5. And then Richard, yeah, it's nothing to do with the actual player ratings. So if you're going to get player ratings in, we're not going to be discussing anything else. We'll be discussing that in the final word tomorrow and my after-match reaction, so I can save all that other stuff for that. Okay, so McClean, I would have given McClean an 8 for his first half performance. I thought he set the tone, he scored the goal. I thought he really led the team from that left wing back position. And overall, I'm going to give McClean, his second half performance wasn't as impressive, but I'm going to give him a 7.5, and I'm actually going to give him my man of the match, because purely in the first half, I thought this game was a game where we needed someone to show that bit of heart and that bit of desire for the shirt, and I thought he embodied that in the first half. It was a little bit quieter in the second half. I don't really remember anything of note coming from him in the second half, but for his first half performance, and that kind of, the second half performance kind of brings it down from the 8 to the 7.5 for me. But I thought, yeah, from overall, then if you're kind of balancing it out, for me, James McClean actually gets my man of the match, which is probably surprising in some people's views. Yeah, but
very.
Hey, for me, what about yourself?
I'm going to go with a 6, Paul. I don't think the second half really anyone showed up. I think I'll obviously get them, but I think Jason Knight, when he came on, was probably the only one that had a bit of an impact in the whole second half. But going back to McClean, I think no matter what type of game you're playing, if you have McClean in your squad, you're going to get that desire, you're going to get that passion and love. I say he's like that in training when he's with the Ireland team. He's green blood in him. So yeah, you can, from his performance in the first half and him being quiet in the second half, he did a lot.
He doesn't get any bonus score for the goal, no?
No. Even though it was a good set piece, no, I'm going to stick to my guns. Yeah, I'm going to stay with the 6 out of 10.
Okay.
I think I'll probably give him a 7. I think I probably give him an 8 like yourself, Paul, for the first half, and then maybe a 6 for the second, so I'll probably go in between. The goal, obviously, I mean, we're kind of shy of them at the minute, so it was great to, he kind of scored the goal, but like you said, he set the level, he set the tempo, really great intensity, made a couple of great defensive challenges as well, at left back, which we probably maybe didn't really cover. He really, a couple of times they tried to get some joy done that right, and he come in a couple of times and stopped them. A couple of times came in at the last and managed to put it for a goal kick, not even a corner. And it was really impressive. So I think he faded the second half. The whole team did. Really, unfortunately, we'll kind of get onto that later on. But I think a 7 for me is fair enough.
Yeah, well, I think people are just going to have mixed views on it, really, aren't they? I've just seen if anyone actually popped up any scores for Devin West says McClean, for someone who isn't fully fit, played well. 7, gives it all for all. And I think that's what showed in the second half. The fitness probably. That was
a good point. Yeah, I forgot about that.
7.5. Christopher Scully seems to be agreeing with me a lot tonight. Darren O'Sullivan says McClean would always fight and try for the team. He's one of our most passionate players. Solid 7. So yeah, keep the comments coming in with the scores. Anything else? Any of this Kenny out spam, I just won't be posting up on the channel. Okay, Malumbi. I'm going to give Malumbi a 6. I thought he was good in parts, but overall didn't have a huge impact on the game. but I think he did give us the energy that we probably lacked against Luxembourg. So that's why he gets a 6 for me. And I haven't really got much more to say. And I think he was trying things and he was trying to get us, around the pitch and stuff like that. But sometimes it just wasn't coming off. Maybe sometimes some players aren't on the same wavelength as him. That's what I kind of get from him. But there was moments. And I do like the way he comes in and he drops back and takes it off the defence and tries to get us forward. Because not enough of our players do that. And I'd say Jeff Hendrick's probably one guilty of that, who probably goes hiding, whereas at least Malumbi tries to get on the ball. But a 6 for me, and it's not a negative score for him. I think he's going to gradually get better, but I think I'd like to see him start more games for Preston now till the end of the season, and then assess his options at Brighton at the end of the season. Maybe he needs a move from there and go somewhere where he can be the heartbeat of the team, and then obviously bring that form into Ireland, and then go from there. Hopefully it's before September. David?
Yeah, completely, 100% agreed. He was quiet, but he was probably doing stuff off the ball that we didn't see. I haven't got much to say. I think you've said it all. He didn't do enough for me for him to stand out. So yeah, I'll go with the 6 out of 10 for Malumbi as well.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think for someone not playing regularly, put a good shift in, brought the kind of energy we expect. I think he was unlucky. There was a point at the midway through the second half where he was just outside their box, took it around a Qatar defender and got just blocked and nothing given, which I don't really understand. If that's a freeze called or he's let kind of run onto that, maybe it's a different story. Maybe he sets up a goal, maybe he scores a goal. I don't know, but I think 6. I think he's definitely one for the future. Needs to be playing more, like a few of our players really. But I think like Paul said, if you can get a move, maybe if it's not going to pan out at Brighton, and just get regular minutes in the legs. That's a big help, because for someone that relies on energy and kind of bringing intensity, you need to be playing to kind of maintain those levels.
I think the minutes that he's gained in this international window may help him going back to Preston, because they also have the new manager now come in because Alex Neil got the sack. So that could bode well. Just going to quickly go through the comments. Lenny had just said about McClean, who's 7.5 box to box all night, considering he's not that fit. That's really good. Alpha says Malumbi was good, so I give him a 7. 6.5 from Evan Ryan. Devin West says Jason was fairly quiet tonight. I keep saying him as box to box. I had more control of the game. See a better performance. Give him a 6. Ocean gives him a 6 as well. So there's lots of people. It's kind of mixed. There's a 7 from Malumbi as well by Lenny. So yeah, then just moving on to Jeff Hendrick. Look, I don't think Jeff Hendrick. I think he was a ghost in this game, in terms of he was there, but you just didn't see him do anything of note at all. Again, you're kind of looking at this to be a game for him to come in and say, you know what, I shouldn't have been dropped. This is my opportunity. I'm going to show you, Stephen Kenny, that I should have been playing. I've listened to lots of ex-pros recently coming out and saying that all these players who weren't playing will be hurt and should be coming in. He didn't show me someone who's hurt, and he was just kind of a passenger in this game, in my opinion. And I really want Hendrick to come on. And I know there's a player in there, but he's just not really been doing it for Ireland and probably for Newcastle this season as well. That he has ability, but he just doesn't seem to show it, and he just kind of saunters around in the middle of the park, and you don't really see him get on the ball, affect the ball. You don't see him sitting in and breaking up play or winning tackles or anything like that. So I don't really know what type of midfielder he even is anymore. So for me, I'm gonna have to give him a 5. Unfortunately, as I said, I like Jeff and I want him to do well, but he just hasn't been hitting the heights, unfortunately. But David?
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go a bit lower. I'm going to go with a 4.5. Unfortunately, he was a ghost, and I remember when I was watching that once, and when they said that he was on the ball, I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot he was even starting, he was even playing.
It's funny you should say that, because when I was writing down the list, I actually forgot him.
I don't know. I think every player that started tonight put in a shift to say, yeah, I deserve to start, and I don't think he done enough. I think he was a passenger all night. I can't say much more. Is his confidence low? I don't know. The only last thing that I can remember him doing well for the team was scoring to get the goal out in Gibraltar, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's other than that, he's been hit and miss, and tonight he's just complete. Yeah, so I'm going to go with 4.5. I can't say much on him.
Maybe I might be being generous with 5 then, Ethan. I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I'd probably float between the two. Yeah, I'll say a 5, just because no one really played great, so I want to kind of single him out, in particular. But I think for someone of his ability, but also his physical attributes, he's a big, strong lad. It's not like he's kind of small, and so I think at minimum, if he's not going to be on it in terms of passing the ball or getting moves going, he should at minimum be imposing himself in a physical sense. Winning headers, winning tackles, causing a bit of a kind of a problem for Qatar, and he didn't do that either. And it's just a constant theme now. He should have been like Dave and you both said, Paul, that he should have been in, kind of being like, yeah, I've been dropped the last 2 games. Like, this is what you've been missing. You shouldn't be dropping me. I'm a Premier League player. I have quality. Get me the jersey. And we just didn't see it. And for, again, someone that's one of the more senior members in the squad at this stage, has the experience, it's just really disappointing just to not see him have that hunger, I guess.
Yeah, no, it seems the same. And I'm reading through the comments here. There's just so many came in for Hendrick there, but he's basically, saying what we had just said. So I'm not going to go through them all. We'll be here all night. So then just Robbie Brady. I'm not really I'm going to give Robbie Brady a 6 just purely because of his impact on the goal, but he played only 22 minutes.
I feel sorry for him. I honestly do. Just with injuries.
So I don't think. Well, you can give him a rate if you want, but I'm just going to give him a 6 for his part of play in the goal with the free kick, the quick corner, and then McClean's goal. So I'm going to give him a 6 for that. And he went down injured, and we kind of lacked the creativity when he went off, though.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think we'll get on to Parrott, but I think we missed him. If you look at maybe what Parrott brought versus what Brady could have brought, we'll get on to that. But I think that, it was definitely unfortunate for Robbie, but also for us that he had to go off after, only 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think Alpha says 6 there as well. For Robbie as well. So then we're just left with Daryl Horgan and Shane Long out of the players that started. So Horgan for me 5. Again, this was an opportunity like Hendrick to come in and make a claim. And you really want him to do well because all the other games he's played for, I thought he's actually shown that he really wants to play for the shirt, and I thought he's been direct and he looked lively. But tonight, maybe it was the way we kind of set up, it just didn't look like it really suited him that well. And I don't think playing kind of centrally is the best way to get the best out of him. And I think he kind of suffered from that a little bit. Maybe Stephen Kenny was just trying to get him some game time because he's been away with the squad and freshen things up a little bit. So I'm going to give him a 5, but again, I think he could do so much better, and that's why I've given him a 5.
Total agreement. Total, yeah. I'll go with a 5. I had high expectations from him tonight because when he was playing the last few games that he played, he showed a bit of fire about him. He showed a bit of hunger and desire. And I even said on the last word there the other night after the Luxembourg game, I would have brought Horgan on, because he would have had that about him. And I actually have it written down in my notes here before pre-match. It says, I'm delighted Horgan and Long are starting. Hopefully he has a good game and gets the job done. This is his chance. And unfortunately, it just didn't happen. Same as Hendrick. It just never clicked for him tonight. And so I'm just going to go with a 5 as well, 5 out of 10. Even though I was delighted he got the start. But just didn't happen for him. And I was hoping it did. Like you're the same with Robbie Brady with the injury. It's just I feel sorry for the injury because I know he's a lot more to give. So same with Horgan, he's a lot more to give.
Yeah,
5.
Yeah, much the same as the two of you. Really, I probably more like David, kind of high expectations. I was maybe calling it for him to be involved, especially in the Luxembourg game. We needed someone that had that urgency and that drive to push on and make something happen, and we just didn't really see it at all tonight. I think Paul made a good point that maybe the formation and the setup didn't really suit him. He might have suited being out on the kind of wing himself rather than being a maybe central player. But maybe I think maybe an opportunity missed on his part to can again, much like Hendrick, stand up and say, I should be getting a spot here.
Yeah, I agree. I think Shane Long then for me gets a 5.5, and we probably would have got a 6 had he not missed that that one on one. Someone like him with that experience shouldn't panic in that situation. Just take his touch, take his time. It was just him and the goalkeeper, and he just snatched at it, and the keeper saved it. I mean, he done what Shane Long does in terms of he'll run all night for you, and he'll get about. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as a striker, you're judged on what you're going to do in and around the box. And when the showtime came, he was done well to read the back pass, but then he just didn't do anything with it, and he gets a 5.5 for me. Again, I said this the last day that we probably shouldn't be relying on these older players to come in, and because and in saying that, like, they have done the business for us in the past, but that was the past. And when was the last time Shane Long scored an international goal? I think someone said it was 2016. So it is literally a long time ago. No pun intended. So 5.5 for me. What about you, David?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the same, Paul. As I said, I've written down the notes that I was delighted that Long and Horgan started, and yet again it didn't meet its expectations. He does, his work rate has always been there. He's great in the air. I think he's a good target man if we're getting balls into the box. He reads the game very well, and I think that's why he done it with the back pass. He's experienced, but he should have took a touch. He should have rounded the keeper with his experience, but we can go back to not enough game time with his club. Mentally, fitness-wise, like if he was playing for Bournemouth week in and week out, would he have took a touch and rounded the keeper? Or was it panic stations yet again that he tried to get the goal and wasn't thinking about? Because obviously they know what happened there during the week on Saturday with the loss, so he was probably panicking to get a goal. We don't know, but no, he didn't. He didn't meet the expectations for me, and I'm going to go with a 5.
Yeah, probably a 5 for me. You just can't be missing that chance, especially, we can look back at how the game turned out and how that might have changed the game. But I was harsh on the last one with Collins after missing his chance in the Luxembourg game. And you have to be with Shane Long as well, as someone of his experience, his ability. And like I said during the watch long, that even if he'd taken a shot and had gone, just wide or something, you could have been like, fair enough. To hit it right at the goalkeeper is really just poor and just smacks to someone of, kind of no confidence, no belief, and maybe, like David said, no, match sharpness, no kind of experience and kind of, regularly playing. But, he scores that. We're probably looking at a win here. And when it's been so long without a win, I think you have to kind of be maybe a bit harsher when it comes to chances like that. So I'm going to give him a 5.
No, I think that's a good point as well. Sorry, I'm just sharing Gary's video for him here at the same time, so I'm trying to multitask. No, I would agree with that. I think if that goes in, the game is over. I think we are set at that point, because I think that was near enough to half time at that point. David's gone anyway.
Yeah,
so
I think we probably score 3 or 4 if we go 2 up.
Yeah, I'm just going to change that up there, so there's a little bit of a layout. So we basically got through the starting 11 anyway. We're on to Troy Parrott now. For me, he gets a 6. He's a young lad coming in. There's a lot of expectation on him. He got a large chunk of the game to kind of show, but I thought the fact that we changed formation so many times, it was hard for him to kind of get into the game. And maybe 6 is a bit generous. Maybe 5.5 is a bit more realistic, but maybe I'll get your kind of thoughts as well, and I might kind of go back and forth with it. But like, I want to see Troy kick on from here. I want to see him do well and stuff like that. But tonight just wasn't his night, really, was it?
Yeah, and I'm going to give him a 5.5. I did half think whenever you made, it was a good point about the change of formation constantly. That's quite hard for a younger player just kind of go with on the fly all the time, especially with someone that doesn't have that many senior games in his career, never mind internationally. But I think independent of that, there were a few times where his touch was poor. He had a couple of poor passes that actually sent Qatar on a counter-attack, and I know he's got maybe too high expectations on him, and it's not really fair to him. But I also just think, just objectively, it was the kind of maybe not quite what you'd want, and he was slightly more bad than good. So I think to give him a 5.5 is probably fair enough, all things considered.
I think a lot of people in the comments are saying 5.5 as well, and they were pretty much agreeing with us on long. So where people are like, I think people are agreeing a lot with this stuff, which is what I like doing it live, is because you can actually see what, if you feel like you're being too generous, sometimes you can, but a lot of people are agreeing, saying either 6 or 5.5 or 5. So I think that's fair enough. So we're kind of onto the substitutes then. So you got Knight was in, and Robinson were both in on the 57th minute mark. I'm going to give Knight a 6.5. I thought he was the best of the subs. I thought he tried to inject a little bit of energy, but he seemed to be struggling with the players around him again. Didn't seem to be on the same wavelength as him. As I said, he didn't do anything amazing or anything like that, but I thought he put himself about a lot more than, say, your Hendricks or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I thought he put himself about. Again, we moved the formation a lot during the game, so I felt like that's probably another reason why as well. He may have, he was put like a right winger at one point, and then he was all over the place. So 6.5 for me for Knight, Jason Knight.
Yeah, I agree. I think you make the good point again, being out of position a couple of times and the whole changing didn't do him any favours. When you come back to this, it's kind of hard whenever it was a fairly boring game to think of, things people did. But there's another thing that sticks in my head is when he won that free kick, when he burst forward and whoever was down the line had lost the ball essentially. But he won the free kick because he was chasing what was a lost cause and he got tripped up, and it was, he bought the free in a dangerous area, and that's the kind of, the stuff that if things aren't going your way, you need players that are going to do the little things and play smart. And I think, that even shows that although he's young, with more time, more development, he'll be a big player for us. So I think 6.5 is fair. He can be happy enough with his performance.
I think Ken hit the nail on the head there with that. He just said he tried to change the game, but he didn't just change the game. He had spoken before the game in his press conference of how he needed to be a leader and try and affect games, and I thought that's what he did when he came on. So in fairness, he backed up his statement quite a bit there. Robinson, 5.5 for me. Just when you really want to see Callum Robinson do well, you really want to see him get a goal, and you just really want to see... He seems like a really good character and bubbly type of lad, and if he's scoring goals, I think he infects that around, or he makes that infectious around the squad and stuff like that. But he just, whether it's fitness or whatever, he just, for me, when he came on, he didn't really offer much,
Yeah, I agree. I think he's someone that needs a permanent championship move. I think that maybe his kind of level in and around there, he's nearly almost too good for the championship, not good enough for the Premier League. But on the kind of game tonight, I was kind of quite impressed with him. The first two games, we obviously set up Alan Brown's goal and should have an assist as well from Collins against Luxembourg, and he was kind of let down there. And so when he came on, I was thinking, oh great, he's going to kind of get a good run here, and we didn't really see it. He had that one chance that he dragged wide, which was poor enough, really, all things considered from there. But like you, I really want him to do well. He seems really, really kind of passionate about playing for Ireland, which, not saying not everyone is, but some of them kind of show it more than others. And even the way they talk about it and how, when he talks, you get the sense he loves playing for Ireland. He loves putting on the jersey, and you really want to kind of succeed, and he does that. Didn't do it tonight, and I think probably 5.5 is fair enough. He didn't do anything necessarily wrong, but you would have maybe hoped for better given that he'd played well enough against Serbia and Luxembourg.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And then we're kind of moving into the last substitutes. Then all coming on the 84th minute. Alan Brown, Josh Cullen, and Ryan Manning. The only one who really had any sort of effect there was obviously Josh Cullen with the header at the end. And I mean, you can't. The other lads, I wouldn't even give them a rate. They just weren't on long enough. It's nothing to do with how they played. They just didn't play long enough. And again, you could say Cullen is 6 just purely for the header. I mean, he's not known for being in that position of centre forward. Score
trying to win the game. Yeah, that's what.
I would have loved if he had scored it, but unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And I wouldn't give Cullen, Brown, or Manning a rating. They just haven't been on. But we have to give a lot of people have asked us to give a manager's rating, which is going to be fun.
Do you want to go first, then, or do you want me to go?
Well, then we can do it collectively. I think, look, with Kenny, obviously he's under massive pressure from fans, and he knows that. And tonight, the starting lineup was a bit of a call. Like, he was bringing in a lot of older players, and it was a bit of a surprise. I think he brought in players like Coleman, who plays 3 games in six days and stuff like that, which I was surprised. And O'Shea, I thought he might have brought in other players. I was happy that he brought back Duffy, and I thought he brought back a bit of solidity in the team. I suppose in some cases some of the players were a bit inspired by the fact he brought them back in, like James McClean. But overall, in terms of the result, I mean, if you're coming into this international window, we are looking at, okay, Serbia, that's a debatable game. Luxembourg, that's a game we should be winning on paper. And Qatar is a game that we shouldn't be looking to settle for a 1-1 draw. So I think the fact that he was trying to, we complained that he wasn't trying to fix things the other day, and he had in-game management and stuff like that, and he'd acted the other. I thought he was trying to change things. I thought the substitutions weren't as late in the game. But as well as that, we all have to remember that we're not. He's not dealing with the Richard Dunns, the Robbie Keanes, the John O'Shea's, Damien Duffs. We don't have those type of players. We mentioned where a lot of our players are playing that football, and it shows, and it showed tonight. So I'm gonna give Stephen a 5.5. People are gonna say you should get a lot less. Maybe I'm being generous. They'll probably say, but I think that's my honest opinion. 5.5, and I think he needs time to implement with maybe the 9 days in Spain, and then we'll see a significant change. But for me, I'm going to give a 5.5 considering the result overall, considering it's Qatar and it's a team that I feel like we should be beating. That's it from me.
Yeah, you make some good points. Even if you go back to the Serbia game, we played well against Serbia. That was the thing, like if we bar and obviously an unfortunate kind of Mark Travers mistake and a couple of other, errors, we played quite well there. That was a good game. We were coming out of that disappointed that we lost, but kind of buzzing in the way we played and the football we played, some of the chances we made. It was actually a really good game for us. And it's obviously gone, unfortunately. If we'd lost that game and won these last two, you'd be feeling kind of happy enough, but obviously it's kind of gone not that way at all. On tonight, I think, because I think in some ways he maybe abandoned his philosophy a bit, and maybe a bit of panic, maybe a bit of a not. And I agree with bringing in some of the kind of the changes, but I think bringing in the wholesale, more experienced changes, and then to not win, I think is a bit of a problem. I think that a couple like the likes of Duffy, I think that was a good one. Obviously, Christie played well. Even McClean, he can be vindicated in because McClean scored. But I think that really, if we're going to be looking to kick on and it's about building for the future and building a new team and a style of play, he should also maybe stuck with some of the kind of players that maybe haven't played or performed as well, but were the younger generation. So I would have liked to seen whether it was Knight start or Cullen play again, over the likes of Hendrick or even Parrott start. He didn't play great, but I didn't really see the point in Shane Long starting, and then he got the golden chance and spurned it. Parrott didn't play great, but if Parrott gets that chance, does he maybe score it? I don't know. So I think I'll give Stephen a 5. I really wanted to work for him. I'm going to get back him. As you said, we haven't these amazing players that if you just pick another manager, we're going to go and start winning every game. This is the reality of Irish football. Sorry, folks, that's the way it is. But I think I can't give him more than a 5 based on tonight, purely because of the strange team selection I didn't really like, and then to not beat Qatar, and again the way it was much like Luxembourg. I know I'm rambling on a bit here, but they had a lot of the play. They had far more of the ball than I would have liked for a team like Qatar to have against us. They arguably could have had 2 or 3 in the second half if maybe they'd been a bit smarter in the final third, and that's also kind of a concern. We were very flat in the second half against Luxembourg, flat in the second half tonight. Don't know why that is, but yeah, 5 for me.
Okay, I think that's it. I've just uploaded Gary's videos from the game, so he's put up his 3 talking points, his instant match reaction as well. So we're going to jump off this video. I'm going to do my instant match reaction now in a few minutes. So check out Gary's in the meantime. Huge thanks to Ethan for joining for both the watch along and the player ratings. We obviously lost Dave halfway through, but I'd say he'll be probably watching back, or his phone probably died. And I'm sure he'll let us know. But let us know your thoughts on all the player ratings. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe as well. I see we're nearly like 350 away from 10k now. So I hope our ratings weren't I suppose too generous or too harsh at the same time. We try to do it in a way in which, you know, it's thought out, and it's not, you know, just going nuts for the sake of going nuts. It's thought out, you know. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, please, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching and engaging, and appreciate your comments as well.